What's up, YouTube? Hitting y'all up with another video. Okay. So, I did the first video of this, but man, I've been doing information on this stuff after I did that video, and everything I said was totally off. So, basically what this video is about is it's about Kwame Wilson, aka Young QC. Young QC is his performer name, rapper, dancer, or whatever the heck. His mom, on the other hand, shoot, I don't know how to start this, man. But I'm just gonna get into it. I'm gonna read some stuff from here. Okay, so I looked at the news report of him, right after all this happened, after he murdered his mom, he's talking about how, two people come in and, murdered my mom, and blah, 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 blah. And they were talking about how, you know what, I'm just going to read you the case. How about that? I just read it to you. I'm reading this off of DNAinfo.com. Okay, so, when Kwame Wilson didn't show obvious grief at his mother's funeral, his cousin chalked it up to shock that he was just having trouble processing her death, numbed. The young man didn't sit in the front row of the church near Yolanda Holmes' casket and spent much of the service hanging outside, according to friends and relatives, some of whom found his behavior after the September 2012 funeral odd. He just seemed a little distant. He didn't seem devastated, said Zion Banks, Holmes's first cousin and the spokesman woman for the family, but looking back now, it's more suspicious. Prosecutors allege the 24-year-old actor, dancer, rapper, who goes by the name of Young QC, had a reason for looking suspicious. Prosecutors say Wilson Holmes, only child and sole beneficiary, masterminded a robbery on his 45-year-old mother that led to her death, then emptied her bank accounts and collected life insurance policies after she was slain. After his arrest late last month, authorities said he told detectives he set the robbery up for financial gain. Friends and relatives say he began flaunting his wealth after the murder, even throwing stacks of cash to his fans in the parking lot and posting video of the stunt on YouTube. The loss of Holmes stunned the uptown neighborhood. The Northside resident was a popular, community-minded figure who handed out school supplies to area children, hosted back-to-school parties, and ran the busy Nappy Head Salon, a beauty shop formerly at 4141 North Broadway. The next hearing in Wilson's case is Monday, when two friends prosecutors said were involved in the crime on September 2nd, 2012, also will appear. They are Eugene Spencer, 22 years old, who allegedly stabbed and shot Holmes to death on a Sunday morning after a phone call from Wilson awoke her, and 23-year-old Lorena Johnson, accused of driving Spencer to Holmes' apartment in the 1000 block of West Montrose Avenue for the slaying. Wilson, who is being held at Cook County Jail without bail, has not been indicated, so he has not had a chance to enter the plea in the case. No defense attorney has filled in an appearance in court on his behalf. A review of court records found in none of his family members could say whether he had secured an attorney. The Cook County Public Defender Office, which represented Wilson at his bond hearing, did not respond to the request for comment. Wilson did speak out about his mother's death a year ago outside of Hadia Pendleton's funeral. He said, "My mother, she was a neighborhood woman. A guy entered her home and murdered her." And that was the video I saw on the news. The news footage. And then in bold print says, I heard he wanted to be famous. While Wilson was known as a flashy guy before his mother died, his taste grew noticeably more luxurious after she was murdered. According to his friends, former classmates, relatives, and friends of his mother, 1 week after Holmes' death, Wilson liquidated his mother's bank, collected more than $90,000. He also was the beneficiary of 2 of her life insurance policy, authorities allege in court documents. Numerous pictures and videos of him flaunting his lifestyle appeared online within weeks of Holmes' murder. His Facebook, YouTube, Instagram accounts show examples of the lavish life he's lived in the last year. The Instagram picture shows Wilson at the Burberry store downtown laying a stack of cash out in front of the cash register. Another shows him at the wheel of a Mustang holding an expensive leather Versace Medusa head belt. There are pictures of him with an array of newly purchased Air Jordans. And then there's this video of him having a $100 bill and he rips it up and then just flaunts more cash. He brags about buying 1,500 puppies on social media and tells his luxury car designer, clothes, guns, copious amounts of weed. There's a lot of videos of him withdrawing a bunch of cash from a bank, then throwing it in the air, sending it to a crowd of his fans into a frenzy. I don't know how he could have been living like that before Yolanda died, because he wouldn't have had that money, said Banks, a 49-year-old resident of South Suburban Flossmoor, who called displays disgusting. Her feelings are shared by many who knew and loved Holmes. A longtime friend and former employee of Holmes, Julie, who asked that her last name be withheld, said, I heard he wanted to be famous. I was really surprised to see him flaunting all the money. It was so outrageous, said the 40-year-old uptown woman. He gained access to her wealth, and whatever she said, charged 50-year-old Jefferson Park resident Tia Bouvier, another former employee and a longtime friend of Holmes. You just don't start to splurge immediately after your mother was murdered. Getting attention by any means. Bouvier and Julie said they remember Wilson as a spoiled child who was well treated by Holmes, a prominent beautician, successful business owner, and active member of the uptown community. Holmes bought her son a Camaro, kept him stocked with designer clothes, helped him find jobs when he needs help, they said. Even so, Bouvier said Wilson often exaggerated his mother's finances to other kids. She remembers overhearing Wilson as a 16-year-old hanging outside mother's salon boasting to his friend, I got money. He bragged a lot that his mom had money and he was rich, she said. Wilson, 5'3", fit with soft features and well-kept dreadlocks, has been described as charismatic. Many friends and former classmates of Wilson declined to comment publicly, but some spoke under the condition of anonymity. How the fuck ever you say that? Anonymity, whatever the fuck. He attended St. Mary's of the Lake, a Catholic elementary school in Uptown. A former classmate described him as a cool guy who yearned for attention, especially from the ladies, she said. Wilson, where the hell was I? Okay, here. Wilson later attended Senn High School in Edgewater. Some of the classmates at Senn said they found him to be full of himself. Others found him funny, energetic, down to earth. One classmate said he was a cool dude who joked around and loved to dance. In the hallways, she said he even came to her defense once when another student tried to beat her up. As long as I've been knowing him, he's always had everything he could want, said another high school friend. She said Wilson's always had a great bond with his mom. To hear allegations of him possibly hiring someone to kill his mother is quite shocking to me. It's a sad story. Wilson's father has been largely out of his life for at least 20 years. Wilson's father, Jeffrey Todd Wilson, is serving a life sentence in Statesville Correctional Center in Crest Hill. Ill for murder, reputed West gang leader was arrested in 1993. Authorities accused him of setting a fire to an apartment building in 1990 that killed 2 low-level crack house workers. After the dealer who ran the drug den refused to pay a street tax of $500 to $1,000 a month, Holmes wanted to ensure that Wilson would never have to use gangster tactics to get what he wanted. His cousin Banks said she didn't want the streets swallowing him up. She was a single... Oh, you scared me.
With joy.
I think she's in her room. She was a single parent who took so many steps to make sure he was okay. Banks said he grew up loved. Banks is now concerned about how Wilson's children might be affected by his potential incarceration, although Banks knew he had at least on child since the arrest. She said she's learned of others. I've been hearing different numbers, she said. A Chicago woman said she has a son with Wilson and called him a great father who recently planned their son's birthday party. As far as his other kids, yes, I did know. She said Wilson and the woman are currently not together, but we remain friends, and I will always be his friend no matter what he said, she said. A Wisconsin woman said she has a 6-year-old daughter with Wilson. Said he always helped take care of the girl. She called him nice, sweet, caring, but said the two weren't a couple. She said he did a lot of things and did not mention having other children. As far as the murder charges, she said it's hard to imagine he could have handled that on his mind for so long. Wilson was Holmes's only child. She grew up in a big family with 5 siblings and 15 cousins. Banks and Holmes were close growing up. Their mothers, and both now deceased, were sisters. I'm really glad that both of our moms weren't here to witness this, Banks said about the circumstances of Holmes' murder, because that would have killed them. The 5-foot-tall Holmes was very frank, very outgoing, and had a strong personality. Banks said she had a real sense of community and family in her heart. She was a shining star of our family, Banks said. Everybody looked up to her for direction. Holmes's relatives have been trying to piece together our sense of family since she died. Our relatives, a question remains, where does Wilson now fit in that heartbreaking puzzle? Kwame does have a family, and he is loved, Banks said. She said she knew of no relative that had spoken to him since the arrest. How do we move forward? We all loved Yolanda. We all love Kwame. How do we move forward? And that's it's really a sad story, how all that happened. His mother tried to do good and, bring him up right so he doesn't have to do those things to make money. She gave him pretty much everything, a kid would want pretty much. He was spoiled. And I looked at the Facebook pages of the mom, and she looked so happy with her son. You can tell she really loved him. But as for him though, I've been doing a lot of research on this thing, and he has his own little web series of a show that it's like an amateur show he was trying to do. And on episode 4, that's a little after episode 4 was I don't know if it was a little after the murder or whatnot, but that's when it first revealed the him throwing the cash to all these fans. He's talking about how he's giving back to the fans, throwing his cash out everywhere. And that wasn't really his cash; that was really his mom's cash. It's just sad to hear something like this, especially for someone who did good for the community, you know, giving out school supplies and stuff for kids who can't really afford it, and setting up back to school parties to encourage them to go to school. He sounded like a very good spirited person, and it sucks when those kind of people die out of this world. It really sucks, because especially knowing that she got killed by her own son. Now, since this is an anti-religious channel, I want people to open up their eyes to reality, because this is reality. This is a realistic matter here, and now a lot of Christians would say something in this predicament, and they would say God put that mother there for a purpose, or they'd say God put her son there for a purpose also. Christians believe that everything happens for a reason, but that woman, she did nothing but good for the community. She sounded like a good-spirited person. She successfully made her money and made a living. And for a Christian to say, she was put there for a reason, that's fucked up, and that's really morbid, because that's fucked up, saying that it was God's plan to kill her. She was doing good. Look at all that she did in the community. She was actually helping people. But that's only a faithful outlook, a religious outlook of the matter, when realistically your faith can't save you from anything, not even from your own son. So a lot of people, they blind themselves with their religious beliefs, and they never look at the realistics of the matter. They always say God did that for a reason, God did this for a reason. So what you're saying is, does God put those starving children on Africa for a reason, so they starve to death? You see what I'm getting at? Faith has nothing. It doesn't save you from nothing, man. Face it, we're all living in this world together. Just people who are religious. When it comes to a realistic matter, can you just put down those blinds you got covered over your eyes and look at the realistics of the matter? Because faith doesn't get you anywhere. And this is total proof. Her own son murdered her. Well, he didn't murder her. He set it up so he could get cash, so he can get all that cash that his mother worked hard for, to give him a good living. And if you don't think this is wrong, I don't know where the fuck your heart's at. That woman didn't deserve to die. She seemed to be a very good-spirited woman, and when people who are trying to do good for the community and stuff, and are trying to improve the generation, trying to improve the future society, and we need as many people like that as possible, and it's just sad that her own son killed her. All for that. I'm going to put links in the descriptions if you want to see videos. I'm going to put the news report video. Then I'm going to put the video of where he's flashing his cash and stuff. But yeah, anyway, I'm out, guys. I'm really sorry about, the family having to deal with such a complex matter, and my respect goes out to them, and it's really sad to hear something like your own son murdered their mom. I mean, the kid wasn't even abused, he was spoiled. What kid wouldn't want that? knowing that his mom was a great mom and that he up and got her killed just for money is just sick. But anyway, and I'm gonna add on. I've been watching a little bit of his little web series, and he likes to make these, religious, religious quotes in his show. And he's not a Christian at all. He's not. And for some of that shit he quoted in this show is totally false. He's a hypocrite for doing what he did, and because most of the times when Christians do something, I always, there's always something in the Bible that supports it, because I usually find it. But for this matter of you murdering your mom, the Bible doesn't support that at all. It really doesn't. I mean, out of all the negative things that go on in the Bible doesn't support murdering your mother. Your mother is actually the caretaker of you, who are God's child, and it was your mother's duty to take care of you, and she did that, and you turned your back on her, man, all for greed. So yeah, anyway, I'm out. Peace.